The number of food insecure people in Yemen has risen dramatically since the start of the conflict. From the estimation and the assessments that were carried out in mid-2015, where we had about 12.9 million people food insecure, we have now gone up with an estimation of 14.4 million people food insecure. It's very likely that with the continuation of the conflict, this number will only continue to increase in the months to come. The estimations we have today are looking at about 90 to 95% of the food being imported in Yemen. Now, if you look at the amount of arable land available to feed the population, again, you're looking at a very small amount, probably 4 to 5%. Out of this 4 to 5%, there's actually only 2% that is directly producing food for the population of Yemen. And here we're talking about a population of 26 million people. So it is obvious that with the continuation of the conflict, the food requirements will obviously remain. But the capacity of the country to produce its own food is certainly not going to increase. Access is quite restricted since the start of the conflict in March 2015, and that is not only valid for FAO but for all of our implementing partners. The implication of that is that we have a limited capacity to collect data, so we are using baseline information, but we're also doing projections on what is likely to happen and what is probably the situation right now. So not all of the country is inaccessible, but quite a number of governorates are actually totally out of reach. Prior to the war, FAO's portfolio was very much focusing on development, longer-term interventions. Now, with the start of the conflict, the humanitarian crisis that goes with it, we have geared our activities towards more humanitarian type of intervention, mainly to support the agriculture sector, the fisheries sector and the livestock sector. Now, to give you an example, on the crop sector, for instance, we have been supporting groups of women to produce eggs and to grow vegetables. The impact of that has been tremendous and immediate, to the extent that now we see families eating vegetables, enriching their diet, and we also see vegetables being sold in the market, and we also see women generating incomes from egg production, and those eggs are also then sold in the market. So we very much look forward to be able to expand this kind of activities, also because it allows the beneficiaries to grow something right where they live, hence limiting the situation we have whereby insecurity prevents people to move, and also then comes in place very nicely when you look at the limited access to land that most of these families have. The FAO appeal for 2016 will amount to $25 million. If just to give you an idea, last year we were appealing for $19 million. Some people might consider that this is a relatively small appeal, but one has to keep in mind also the capacity FAO and all UN agencies, NGOs have to actually deliver on the ground. So I think we need to balance the needs and we need to balance the capacity we have to deliver to the most needy populations. Also, I'd like to add that the 25 million is a figure that is based on the needs as of today, but we will see how the situation evolves. If our capacity to move increases, but also if the needs increase dramatically, we will be able to revise, as we always do, by mid-2016 this figure upwards if the situation requires to do so.